The human brain is mysterious.
Do you do a lot of role plays and stuff in your company?
That's where everybody makes their biggest mistake.
How do you kind of prepare yourself when you are not having a good day?
It doesn't matter what you do. Do you have to listen to a podcast on the way in? Do you have to listen to a book? Do you have to listen to rage music, country music, silence? And when you hit those doors up front, you got to keep that right here. It's got to be mental.
How you handle a new customer?
Give us the opportunity to get into the home. That's step one. Step two is, are you showing empathy for the home? Are you showing concern? Are you asking them if it's okay where you're parked? We get the opportunity to go in 12 to 1,500 homes a year.
The core of what you're saying is value.
I'm going to show interest in your interest. Doesn't mean I'm interested in them. Most of our technicians are like, damn, this is nice, right? How do you know that guy didn't have a $5 million home, just got divorced, lost everything in it, just lost his job, had to drop all the way down to this basic house for him, and you say, man, this is a nice house.
So they think that you're quoting a lot higher than the other bids they have got.
Honesty straight out of the gate.
Is there any specific or is there any quick tactic to boost these numbers?
Quick, no, but focus on process.
There's approximately 7,000 reviews on all of your locations, if I'm not wrong. How are you getting that, man?
Hail.
Welcome to the HVAC Hotshots, the podcast where HVAC entrepreneurs like you learn to dominate your market and build multi-million-dollar empires. Every week, we bring you proven strategies, expert insights, and inspiring stories from industry leaders who have been in the trenches and come out on top. Whether you are just starting out or scaling up, this is your go-to resource to ignite your business goal. So buckle up, hotshot. It's time to turn up the heat and make your HVAC dreams a reality. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the HVAC Hotshots. I'm your host Yash from HVAC10x.com, and today we are joined by James, Sales and General Manager at Absolute Services. James, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite, Yash.
And before we dive into the HVAC, I'm curious about your background. What were you doing before getting into the trade side of things?
Yeah, it's a very interesting background. One that it's I guess not conventional, right? So straight out of high school, college, and secondary, like post education really wasn't for me. So I did a couple of weeks at a college and was like, this is just not it. So I ended up dropping out and enlisting in active duty in the military. Did that for about 6 or 7 years. And then once I got out, I started, I had a job doing like low voltage, like alarms, installing stuff like that, and didn't really find my calling, and was getting ready to have my first kid. And it's a little over 10 years ago. So I was getting ready to have my first kid, and I was like, man, I got to do something. I got to find a career. So I jumped on Indeed and just started kind of like looking, and I had a garage door company reach out to me. So I started in the trades, actually in garage doors, working for a company doing install and service and things like that. And it wasn't until 2018, 2019 is when I actually got into the heating and air side of things. So took quite a while in order to progress up to that side. And, with that came, the plumbing and electrical side of it as well. But yeah, that's kind of like, where it started and kind of what got me here. But yeah, my background and my path was through the garage door industry.
That's quite a transition, to be honest. Interestingly, when I kind of started with the marketing agency side of things as well, my initial clients, all of them were from garage door, and I kind of niched down to the HVAC, and found this industry is pretty better.
It's a hidden gem. It really is.
Yeah, true that. Before we get into the bigger topics, just a quick mention. This particular podcast, it's gonna be revolving around sales side of thing, improving the sales and stuff like that, because I know your core expertise lies on that, and I want to get the best out of it.
Sure.
I've got to ask, what common mistakes do you see HVAC companies making in their sales process right now?
That's an easy one. The biggest mistake, they don't have one. And then if they do have one, they have 20 of them. So it's a lack of consistency, right? Given a few subtleties of like what happens, like what you say, because you can't script what you say. But you can script what you do. Like, I'm going to go into the home and I'm going to start here. I'm going to go into this portion of it. I'm going to start, ask the homeowner these questions. Then I'm going to go over a load calculation. Then I'm going to look over the system. It has got to be a routine. Same thing every single time. The human brain is mysterious. I don't know if anybody's ever going to be able to fully figure it out, but as much of a routine and a consistency that you can get, and then scripting out that process of exactly what you're going to do from, step A to step Z all the way through with the filler in between. That's the biggest thing that most people make a mistake. And that's not just heating and air, not just sales. That's across the sales industry as a whole, of having a consistent process and training on that process. That's where everybody makes their biggest mistake.
Makes sense. By the way, do you do a lot of role plays and stuff in your company?
Oh, every day. Every day. So we do a daily huddle with our sales team and our service technicians, our maintenance technicians, all trades. So we do a daily huddle with them. The biggest thing is just to bring enthusiasm to, to start the day off right on the right foot. That way you're going in the direction that you need. But everything is a role play. Every single bit of it, right? When a guy's like, oh man, yesterday I was talking to somebody and they were taking advantage of the winter promotion tune-up that we were doing, and they were like, well, I've got a guy that I normally use, but you all were half price on your promotion, so that's why I wanted to use you. And I was like, okay, well, what happened? And they're like, well, so nothing. I just walked away. And I was like, okay, cool. Rewind, and then I'll just repeat it back to them, and like I'll just jump into it. There's no setup. I'll look and be like, hey, Yash, so yeah, man, I normally would use you, but and then I want them to start, like, well, so what I would normally say, and I'm like, no. Tell me what you would. We're role playing this. We're doing it. So it's every day, multiple times, in the hallways, in the break rooms, and on phone calls, on Teams calls. It's constant. It's just practice. You practice every single day.
Interesting. This is my personal question. When you are a leader or when you are kind of leading the team, you do have bad days, right? You don't really have the same energy level as a good one, right? So when you kind of get with your team, when you kind of enter a room, how do you kind of prepare yourself when you are not having a good day? What mindsets do you have on those days?
You have got to have the full foundational understanding that how you enter the room and how you start the day is how your team that you want to follow you is going to reflect on what you do, right? If I come in a bad mood, no matter what it is, like whether it's personal, something with my kids, something with my wife, or something that happened yesterday, that's going to pour into the technicians and the installers that are around us, right? The easiest way, it's got to be forefront. It's got to be top of mind. You have to know that if I want them to be their best self, the best version of them today, I have to be my best version. So it doesn't matter what you do. Do you have to listen to a podcast on the way in? Do you have to listen to a book? Do you have to listen to rage music, country music, silence? Like, you got to figure out what that is. And when you hit those doors up front, you've got to be ready to bring it. And you got to keep that right here. It's got to be mental. You got to be aware of it.
Perfectly phrased, to be honest. Speaking of the sales process, coming to that part again, could you walk us through how you handle a new customer?
So like in person once we get there, like over the phone, like booking it, or
Yeah,
particular process?
let's say starting with the phone itself. So when you kind of jump on a call, how do you start that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's all going to start. It's going to be make or break inside the CSR room, like how they're welcoming that person. So, the way I always tell people is like, when you walk into a restaurant, right, and you've got that hostess that's sitting there and they're not smiling, they're not, hey, Yash, welcome to X restaurant. We're glad to have you. How many there's going to be, whatever, and they're like, hey, how many people is it going to be? I'm like, I'm leaving. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, you don't want me here, right? So how's that CSR over the phone to where they want to continue that booking process to give us the opportunity to get into the home? That's step one. Step two is the technician when they're going to be reaching out to that homeowner, right? Is it the traditional, hey, I'm your heating and air tech. I heard something's wrong. I'm on my way. Be 20 minutes, or are you building a rapport? Are you diving into it with them? Are you asking them lifestyle questions? Are you asking them what's going on? How long it's been going on? Who noticed it? Like, man, that's got to be frustrating. Let's get this taken care of. Then when the technician actually gets into the home, are you showing empathy for the home? Are you showing concern? Are you asking them if it's okay where you're parked? Are you asking them, what rooms are hot and cold? Are you asking them, like, who adjusts the thermostat? Like, how long has this been going on again? Because you're going to reiterate that. Are there any rooms inside of the home that you don't want me in, right? Or what's off limits? So I kind of walk me through it, engaging a full aspect. Or are you the traditional person that goes into the home? And this is a lot of what we see. Are you going to be the one that goes into the home and you're like, hey, Yash, yeah, no, you got no heat. Where's your unit at? Oh, it's down in the crawl space. Oh, okay, go down there. Boom, take a picture. Boom, take a picture. Okay, you got a 3-ton, heat pump. That's going to be X dollars. And then you're like, I'll email it over to you. Let me know if you need anything. Which one do you think is going to perform better, right? You have to relate. And on a bigger picture, here's what people have to understand. You and I, or a service company, we get the opportunity to go in 12 to 1,500 homes a year, depending on how many calls a day you run, right? I get to do this all the time. 1,500 times a year I'm practicing. That homeowner is probably going to have a service expert in their home once in a 5-year period, maybe 10. They don't know what the process is. They don't know what to expect. So back on the sales process and what we're delivering, that's why it has to be top-notch service every single time, because while it might be your 500th time, could be their first time. And you want to make sure that you get them for the second time, that they bring you somebody else's first time because they're referring you.
Makes perfect sense. Let's say you're in the home and you're presenting solutions. When you go to the homeowner second time, do you present several options or just one? How does that work?
Well, there's a theory behind that. You could present one, but you're presenting two, right? If you have one option, your option is A, to take this repair or take this new piece of equipment, or your second option, no, right? I'm leaving. I'll think about it. Give me, somebody else. I want other estimates. I got to talk to my wife. I got to run this by with my brother, or any other several objections that might come into it. So while you might present one, there's always two. You've got to tailor the solutions that you build towards the homeowner, right? What meets their lifestyle? What meets their budget? You're trying to reduce the amount of no's that you get so that you can earn that yes on the back end side when you ask for the business. And you got to earn the right to ask for the business, right? It's best practice, like with us, like we always suggest that you go minimum 3 different solutions, putting them together. That's going to get, a wide variety of what's going to happen. But on that note, you can't give them a $500 option and then a $10,000 option and $12,000 option. That makes no sense. The discrepancy, like the delta between those two numbers, it's too much. Like it doesn't make sense to go up to this one, but it doesn't make sense to stay down at this one. Why'd you bring this up? So you got to be smart. Like it's a skill in how you present. It's a skill on when you present, and all of it bears down to what's your process, how's you're building your value, how are you taking this client on a journey to where at the end of it, they're like, you know what? I want to do business with this guy. Doesn't matter what the cost is. I want to work with these people.
Absolutely. I see. The core of what you're saying is value, right? Building and creating value for the customers.
Yeah.
Talking about the value and value creation, to be honest, how do you coach your sales team to kind of, or your tech to build value before kind of presenting several options or pricing?
Yeah. Well, number one, you got to follow the process. Like the process isn't there because it's nice to do. It's something that the homeowner truly appreciates and they're grateful for, right? So how we're coaching them up, like you've got some people that, talk about going into the home and following the form. I'm sure you probably heard that, the family occupation recreation material, right? It works to an extent, right? But it also can make somebody like disingenuous, right? To where if I'm just looking for something, if I'm like, oh, hey, that's a really nice vest that you have on. I don't like vests. Why would I say that that's a nice vest? Like, oh, that's a really nice yard you have. I don't know anything about landscaping, but what I can do is I can be like, interesting style. Y'all should tell me a little bit more about that. Where'd you get that from? I'm going to show interest in your interest. Doesn't mean I'm interested in them. I just like that you like them and I want to understand why, right? So getting on that level of not just throwing out fake, like, oh man, this, I don't know who painted your house, but they did a really good job. Like you could be bringing back so many like terrible memories. Like imagine if you walked into somebody's house, right? And this is what I tell our team all the time. If you walk into somebody's house and you walk into, let's just say, $1 million home. Well, to me, to you, and to most of our technicians, you're like, damn, this is nice, right? How do you know that guy didn't have a $5 million home, just got divorced, lost everything in it, just lost his job, had to drop all the way down to this basic house for him? And you say, man, this is a nice house. And he goes, yeah, right, man, you should have seen my last one. Or maybe he doesn't say anything, just like, ugh. Now I'm remembering all of that stuff that just happened. Like, let's see what they say about it. Be like, man, how about this house? Man, I hate it. That's interesting. Why? Or I love it. Tell me more, right? I want to go based on you and what you do, and I can't go based on my thoughts and opinions. Chances are they're probably different, right?
Golden nuggets, James. So the core thing here is to ask questions, ask the right one, get to know about it, the customer, and yeah, based on that, create value, right? Uh, there's one very very famous objection in our industry. How do you handle customers who say that, hey, we are getting multiple bids and we'll kind of get to and we'll choose eventually after seeing all the bids whose price is kind of the least one. How do you handle that?
Yeah, that is probably the most famous one, right? Because and there's a lot of really good people out here in the industry that I've gotten the opportunity to work with over the years, and I've heard different things. Like I've had it when I've been in the home when I was doing the in-home sales and stuff. But the biggest thing is like, how do you get to a point to where you're still asking those questions, like very directed, pointed questions to get you where you need to go? You got to understand, why are you getting multiple estimates? Is it because it's something that your dad told you to do? Always get a minimum of 3 estimates, right? That was me growing up. Like my dad always did that. Like if he was buying a car or buying a house, I gotta get multiple estimates. Well, why? Well, that's because that's what my dad taught me. Well, his dad, well, that's what my dad taught me. And it just goes on and on and on. How do you break that mold? You break that mold by getting in there again. It's probably the 50th time. Value,
Mm.
value, value, value. You have to earn the right to ask that, right? So when someone says that to me, hey, I get that. Totally understand. You want to make sure that you're getting exactly what's right for you. That's what I'm hearing. Okay. But let me ask you this. What are you hoping to gain when you get multiple estimates? Are you looking for the best, upfront price? Is that the total? Or are you looking for somebody that's going to provide you, multi-stage equipment? Are you looking for energy efficiency? Are you looking for a quick turnaround? Are you looking for a company that's going to be coming in here to be able to serve you 24/7, emergency service? Are you looking for, monthly payment solutions? Like what, when you see it in front of you and you're like, you know what, that's the one that I'm going with. What's that look like to you? And I'm just going to ask them. I'm not going to try to fight that objection immediately by, oh, well, did you know that we offer this or that? And I'm not going to slander another company because I don't know what they offer, right? I want to understand why they want to get 3 estimates. Maybe they've been burned before. Maybe they went with the first person and then they didn't get what they were sold. Maybe, something bad happened out of that. Let's go through the psychology of it and actually understand why they want 3 estimates, why they want to speak to their spouse, why they want an email, why they want to think about it. And you can dig through a lot of that by, again, asking the right questions, but understanding what their intentions are. Why do they want that?
Mm, makes sense. So you have to find the why. Let's assume that that particular why is they're looking for a lower price, or they think that you're quoting a lot higher than the other bids they have got. So how do you kind of overcome that?
Yeah, honesty. I mean, honesty straight out of the gate. I'm, because I'm going to get that answer, right? I'm going to let them know, well, yeah, I'm actually looking for, the lower price, et cetera. And like, I'd be more than happy to work through this project with you. And here's a couple of different ways that this can go. One, you need to make sure that whoever the company that's coming in, they're going to be licensed and insured, right? First and foremost, that's one of the biggest things that you need to happen, right? I'm going to talk about the emergency service, the maintenance and the benefits of maintenance agreements, and how we're going to come back and continue in taking care of your home so that the equipment lasts longer. Then I'm going to be talking about what best meets their needs and their lifestyle. And if at the end of this process, Josh, if you want me to come sit down with you and I'll go over all of these with you, I'll help you pick out which company is going to be the best for you.
Mm.
Now, I'll let you know, we're not the most expensive and we're not the cheapest. However, we are a premium company that provides premium 5-star service with over 7,000 reviews on Google. We did not get 7,000 reviews by taking advantage of people, all right, and not providing that level of service. So if that is what you want, I'd be happy to work with you. If not, I'll help you pick who's going to be best for you.
Mm, perfect, man. Love it. Coming to another one, and I got this question on my last video. Uh,
Mhm.
there was a comment about closing ratio. So what's a realistic closing percentage for a new company who's kind of in a mid, again, what you exactly said. they're not charging the highest, not the lowest. What's a good closing ratio look like?
Yeah. It's we have three different ones. So you're gonna have like demand turnover, right? You're gonna have your marketed leads, and then you're gonna have retail if you're a company that does retail. So for example, we work with Lowe's, so we get leads from Lowe's. So anybody that works with Lowe's, Home Depot, BJ's, Costco, anything like that, they're going to have retail leads. Those leads are going to traditionally close a little bit of a lower rate than a traditional organic that we marketed for that we got. And then our highest closing is going to be the demand turnovers. Demand turnover, we send a technician into the home of let's say a no heat or even a tune up or whatever the case may be. And they end up discovering or diagnosing whatever the case may be. And then that homeowner is like, I want to get a new system. Well, that new system from a demand turnover, you should roughly be around between 75 and 80% of demand turnover, even higher on the ones that are like your members, the ones that you've been nurturing year over year, right? Your own organic marketed leads, around 60-65% is what we look for on organic marketed leads, and then about 45 to 50% is what we look for on our retail leads. And then you'll hear a lot of people say that, like, well, blended, we want this. It's difficult to say what you want a blended number to be. And the reason that is what happens if I have a week where I've got 50 demand turnovers and, I run 20 marketed leads and I run 5 this. Well, the next week I'll run 20 retail leads and 50 service leads and then, 5 turnovers. Well, now your blended is going to go down. It's going to adjust. So we look at them individually specific of that 80, that 60, 65-ish, and then that 45 to 50 range. And we separate those different business units out on what our expectations are on.
Gosh, it makes perfect sense. Do you think is there any specific or is there any quick tactic to kind of boost these numbers?
Quick, no, but focus on process. Like, what is if you see a low average, if you see a low conversion, if you see a lot of the lower end equipment being sold, if that happens, or the lower end service option is being sold, that can all be reduced down to process. What is your process going into the home? Walk this through with me. Let's role play this. So like, one thing that really helps us is we use a platform or a program called CXC. It's call by call. If you haven't heard of it, it's AI driven, right? And what that does is it records the technician and his presentation to the homeowner, and then it gives us real time feedback of what's going on. So, let's say it'll say something like, you didn't use the homeowner's name enough, right? Or you didn't ask these kind of questions. You should ask these kind of questions, or you did great here. So we can get real-time feedback. Jumping in the truck and doing role play with technicians or role play ride-alongs with technicians is great. But what are you going to do, like any person, if somebody's with you? Some of your habits are going to remain the same, but the ones that that shouldn't be done, you're going to change them. But you're going to make sure that you do better with somebody that's riding along with you. But the biggest thing that you can do to change that and coach that is focus on your process, and then watch those KPIs. Like, just look at what you want for the company, set that standard, and then, coach based off of the feedback that you're getting.
What's the name of that AI tool again?
CXC. It stands for call by call.
Gotcha. And how much does it cost?
It's use based. So you don't pay like an upfront or anything like that. It's monthly. So however many times you use it, that's what you pay. It's on average, it's like 25 I think it's the lowest one, 25 to like 75 cents per call, depending on the bot that you're trying to use. Like, it's for what it is. It's been a game changer for us. I mean, you're talking $3 to $4 on what you can do to transcribe and give you real-time feedback on a call. So depending on how many techs you have, if you got 3 techs running, 3 calls a day, or if you've got, 10 techs running 3 calls a day, it's going to dictate how many you have. And they also don't have like, I won't make this sound like a plug for them, but yes, right. It's not all of your technicians have to be on it either. If I only want
Mhm.
one technician on it, only one's going to be on it, or if I want all 10. So we've kind of phased it in, and we did 1, then we added 2, then we went to 3, then we're going to 5, then 10, etc.
Interesting. And how are you handling the after hours call right now?
We have a call center. Are you talking about like how we're fielding the calls, or the technician that's going to the call?
So, kind of, let's say, your tech ain't available to pick that up. So how do you handle that?
He's not able to take the call.
Yeah.
Um, well, that's a loaded question. I'm sure a lot of people deal with. Um, what we do, we run a little bit differently.
Mm,
We only run true emergency service. We also collect the emergency service payment up front before we dispatch.
mm,
We pay that technician not only an after hours emergency service, but we pay them a flat fee just to take the call.
mm,
So none of them don't ever not answer the call, because it's really beneficial for them. Like, they make money on it, like a good amount. If we're going to be pulling somebody away from their house, if they're at dinner, playing with their kids, at a basketball game, or hanging out with or just sitting at home, I don't care what they're doing. That's their time, right? That's your most valuable asset. And we'll overpay if we need them to come in outside of regular working hours. And none of them ever turn it down, because it's a pretty good little spiff. So for those who are struggling with people not answering the phone, pay them for it, like, and make it worth their time.
makes sense. I'm not gonna ask the exact number you're paying, but what could be a good range to pay for that?
Yeah. So I mean, I'll tell you what we're at. So if we're at, so they all have their commission, right? That or their pay per performance that they make. Then we collect a $250 upfront fee. $100 of that goes directly to the technician just for taking the call, plus whatever comes out of it on the back end side. That's just to answer the phone and say, "Yep, cool, I'll take it." So
Mm,
however way you decide that, if it takes 30 minutes, or if it takes an hour and a half, like, or even if it takes 2 hours, they're still making $50 plus an hour, and that's just to take the phone call.
mm,
So they'll still get paid on whatever comes out of it on the back end side.
mm. Does that also depend on what sort of lead or what sort of service that particular caller was looking at? Well, was looking for? Nope.
No, doesn't matter.
Uh, makes sense.
That's what they're in. But so here, it's double-edged sword in a good way.
Mm,
One, if that person goes, you know what, this is an emergency, I do want somebody out, the technician's going to get paid for it.
mm,
The ones that it's not really a big emergency, they'll go, can I just get put on the schedule for tomorrow during normal working hours? Sure, absolutely. So we go ahead and put them on schedule for tomorrow. That way we're not sending technicians out, like, for example, I know this happens all the time. It happened to me. Oh, we got an emergency service. They got a no heat, and you get out there and they got the, stat set at 70 and it's 68 in the house. And you're like, I came out here
mm,
for this. Like, it's comfortable in here. It just dropped down and hadn't kicked back on yet, or whatever the case may be. And we once we implemented that, and we've had that in place for a couple years now, but once we implemented that, the amount of calls that we get after hours that we actually run, we might run 3 or 4 a month, maybe. No.
makes sense.
So, and then those, we're getting them put on schedule. We're not losing them. They're getting put on schedule for Monday. Like,
Mm,
you put that dollar amount on there, people will quickly determine if it's an emergency or not.
makes sense. So on your Google business profile, you have said 24 hours open, right?
Our call center is available for 24/7. Not our, well, we advertise that we are, because we will come out there.
Exactly.
But there is a fee to it. Like, our guys are going to, they're going to be compensated for that.
Yeah, makes sense. And as you mentioned lately, there's approximately 7,000 reviews on all of your locations, if I'm not wrong. And one of yours, and in just one of your single location, you guys have got 3,000 reviews on your Google business profile. Uh, how are you getting that, man?
Let's go back to the previous comment that I said. Pay them. Like, literally, we pay our guys a spiff.
Mm,
$20 for every 5-star Google review you get. And then that's part of the process. So let's skip the initial process and go all the way to the end. This is our end process. Josh, do you feel like I've provided you 5-star service today? Great. while I'm picking up my tools, scan this link right here. It's going to take you to our Google. I would love to hear your feedback. My manager loves to read the feedback. They actually buy me lunch every 5-star review that I get, because we do. Like, we give them $20. Like, go buy yourself lunch, right? While I'm picking up, can you go ahead and leave me some feedback here? And then I'll be wrapped up here in about 5 minutes. Ask for the review. Ask.
Great one.
And I know in marketing, you're probably like, that sounds so simple. It's because it is. All you got to do is ask, will you leave me a review? Here's why. Like, and that falls into the law of reciprocity, right? I just drove to your home. I brought a mobile warehouse full of tools and parts to your home. I just fixed this problem for you in your home. Your heating and air system is now back up and running. You're on track. You're happy. Like, everything about you is up here. Your energy, your mood, everything is up here. Can you do something for me? I feel obligated to, right? And I don't know where I heard this at, but it follows this same theory. If I walk into a door and I hold the door open for you, you're going to look at me and say, thank you. You walk into the next door. What do you feel like you have to do? You got to hold that door open for me so that I can come through. And that's just the law of it. I did for you, you do for me. And, if most people follow that rule.
Absolute wisdom, James. I love it. You talked about the KPIs, right? So when you were looking at your sales team's performance, what numbers really matter to you?
Conversion, your total close, right? Your average of what you're doing, that's just going to let us know like what the mix is. Total revenue is a big one. That's just going to let us know like what you're actually getting put through, which that one's not the main one that we focus on. Average and your total conversion, along with options per call, because we're on Service Titan. We're making sure that options per call is a high one too, right? If it's really anything less than 3, you're not providing enough solutions to that homeowner. So I'd say probably in order: your conversion, your total amount of options per call, followed by your average, then revenue. Those are the big 4 that we look at. We base decisions on what level of training is going to be involved for next week.
You mentioned you were using Service Titan, right? Why that? And why not House Call Pro or other ones?
So I used to have House Call Pro. The biggest reason that we use Service Titan now is just because of all the reporting that it has available. We've had Service Titan almost since its inception. We've had it for like 6 years or so. I think it's like 7 or 8 years old, something like that. Maybe a little bit more, but either way, we've had it almost since it started, and have kind of grown with it. There's a lot of different things that we have integrated in with it also. Like, we've got some marketing integrated with it, the booking through our GBP, the CXCs integrated with it, our vendors are integrated with it. Overall, it's a great software, and it's a great tool as long as you use it properly. But we have a relatively high like use score. I can't remember what they call it, but like your Titan score or something like that. Ours is relatively high as far as like how much we use Service Titan, and we still probably only use like 30 or 40% of it. There's just so much that it can do. But on that note, you can get lost in it. Like, you can try to do and use too much. Like, keep it simple. Like, I want to use these reports, and I want to use this filtering, and I want to be able to use this data. And as long as you know what it is and where it comes from, then you can make great business decisions off of it, like how you're going to move forward. So.
And guys, Service Titan ain't paying us nothing. Don't writing and don't take it as an endorsement. Speaking of keeping customers and retention side of thing, because I'm sure you probably would agree that keeping a customer and kind of getting a referral is much easier than kind of acquiring a customer, right? So what's been your secret sauce, or what's been your tactic for customer retention? Obviously, providing value and providing great customer service is one, but what has exactly really worked for you?
Take care of your people. It is simply that. Take care of your technicians. Take care of your installers, right? The way my organization and my leadership works, like the way that it's dropped down to me, and then the way I filter it down to our team, is our organizational chart is flipped upside down. Here, it doesn't start with me at the GM, then the service managers, then the technician or the field supervisors, and then it's the other way around. We have the technicians here. We're here to support them, right? Because think about it like this. If I got up and walked out of this business today, would we still be able to service our clients and install their equipment? Yeah. If a dispatcher got up and walked out. Yes. If a CSR left, if a service manager left, yes, we could. If a service tech or an installer or all of them got up and left, would we still be able to serve our client? No. Most of the people here, dispatch and CSRs and our warehouse associates and all that kinds, they have no idea how to service this equipment. They don't know, how to fix it. Our garage door technicians can't come over here and work on HVAC. So you have to take care of your people. I don't work with the clients. Very rarely do I talk to them. You know who does? Our technicians and our installers. You make them happy. You take care of them. They take care of your clients for you. So we don't have to. They're the ones doing the work. They're the ones earning the reviews. They're the ones, maintaining and taking care of the homeowner. So why not take care of the person that's going to take care of them? So we make sure that our team is supported and staffed properly. Work-life balance, that's something that I don't know if that personally, I don't think it exists, right? But I heard somebody say this once and I was like, man, that is genius, right?
Mm.
When you're at work, work. When you're at home, be home. That's work-life balance. If I get home at 7 p.m., I have an hour that I get to spend with my kids that I make everything that I can out of it, right? Some days I might sit down on the couch, I might do this, but I'm trying to talk to them, trying to do this, trying to hang out or whatever the case may be. When I'm home, I'm not on FaceTime with my wife or on this with my kids. Like I'm at work supporting our team. Now, if there's an emergency or something, that's understandable. But when I'm here, I'm here. When I'm there, I'm there. That's how I keep the two separated and how I'm able to support them. But ultimately, it just comes down to taking care of your people, making them happy, allowing them the opportunity to grow, give them a path of trajectory of where they can go, where they can get to. Not all of them want to be technicians and installers forever. They want to know what that next step is. Some of them do, some of them don't, but that's okay. I'm still going to be there to support them and guide them to their best future and how they're going to take care of their families. That's our obligation, right? As leaders as well.
Absolutely. So take care of your people and they'll take care of your customers. Again, coming to next one, referrals. Do you have any or exactly how do we ask for that? Let's say I am a tech, I go to, and I went to a home and I fixed the AC and stuff like that. Now, do you actually mention that, hey, we need referrals, or if you know anyone who could help or who could take our help and stuff like that, please refer us? Do you use any kind of phrase for that?
Yeah, so we have referral cards that we'll hand out, and we incentivize that homeowner to refer us out. Like we'll pay them a spiff if that person calls us and tells us that hey, my neighbor used you guys and told us to give you a call. But the kind of talk track around that is thank you so much for the opportunity to come out and serve you in your home today. Really, really greatly appreciate that. It's been an honor. Here's this card right here. If you know of anybody that would appreciate our services, or if they're just looking for somebody to be able to maintenance and take care of the basic needs of their home, here, give this to them, have them give us a call. If they do give us a call, there's an amount on the back of it that shows you what you will get. All they have to do is just say who.
Mm-hmm. So let's say I call you. So will you be asking, do you got referred by someone else, or how does that work?
No, so there's again in Service Titan, there's a tracking number that's that we use on those referral cards. So when they call in, we know it's the referral card. So we'll just ask them, like as we're sitting there talking to them, like through the conversation, be like, "Hey, Josh, I know that you called into our referral line. Who referred you?" So we're gonna try to get that out. But when people call, and again back on Service Titan, like we know our marketing campaigns. Like I know, to an extent, it's never gonna be perfect, right? Because if I have a tracking number that's on my truck, chances are I'm not calling a number on the truck. I'm just going to Google it and call straight from there. So now Google gets that tick in their belt, right? But we have a general understanding of where the call is coming from. So if we see that it's coming in on that line, yeah, we'll just ask them, and then we'll kind of track it that way.
Makes perfect sense. And if you're comfortable sharing it, how much exactly are you paying the customer?
If it's between 50, yep. It's between $50 and $100. $50 and $100. 50 if it's on like a service or a maintenance call or something like that. 100 if it's on an equipment call.
Makes perfect sense. Gotcha. The last one, and I'll be very honest with you. The whole podcast, I love talking to the answers that you gave. It was fantastic. Coming to the last one, what's your advice to someone who's pretty new in the industry, and how can they be a better salesperson?
Yeah. Advice, find a mentor. Find a mentor that hands down find a mentor. Like I've had several through my career. Like we were involved with CEO Warrior. So with Mike A, Mike Disney was, one of my biggest mentors, the owner of this, the former owner of this company, Vince. He was a big mentor. My leadership that I've got today, great mentors like Josh Kelly and Laura Kelly over at Clover. Find somebody that you can confide in that's already done it. Don't try to recreate the wheel. Like there's successful companies out there. Like if you're a $1 million company, don't go find a $100 million company. Go find a $5 million company and go, okay, this, and this, what worked for you? If you could do it all over again, what wouldn't you do? And then just don't do those things, right? Because somebody's already done it. If you're a 5 million, find a 10 million, right? Start operating and working as if you are already that company and start searching out that knowledge, right? Because a lot of people, when you break it down, like if you look at the 95-5 rule, I can sit here and write a playbook right now on exactly what to do and hand it to 100 people. 5 people will do it. 100 people, it's going to end up in their desk or in the dash of their van, and they'll never look at it again. And it could be a foolproof plan on exactly what to do, on how to scale from here to here, and they still won't do it, right? So that 5% is going to be your action takers, and the 5% that's listening to it, find a mentor, find a company that's, where you want to be, like within reason. Like don't go crazy of, too big of a company. And then just start working with them. Ask them questions. Always be a student. No matter where I'm at, I'm always a student. I'm always going to continue learning, and that will never be that's one lesson that will never be completed ever.
Absolutely. So repeating what you said, be an action taker if you actually want to win. And yep, that was it for today's one, guys. James, do you have any other stuff to say?
No, I appreciate you reaching out. Appreciate the opportunity to come on here. It's a pleasure meeting you. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll know anywhere I can help, man. It's all about helping your fellow person.
Yep. Thanks for it, man. And guys, that was it for today's one. I hope you got some value from the podcast, and it was absolute pleasure talking to James. Loved every single stuff that you mentioned. You tried to be very concise with it. You try to put the exact value that you have experienced throughout your journey, and I absolutely appreciate that stuff. Guys, I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye. Have a great day, and comment below if you have got any question. And yeah, that was it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.